Welcome to the Perspectives with Catherine Toon podcast.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Perspectives with Catherine Toon. And I have a new guest who I've actually known for quite a while. And I'm thrilled that I was able to snag her because she is all over the map in what the Lord has called her to do. Welcome, Shannon Bates. I'm so thrilled and honored to have you.
Well, thank you so much. And it has been. We met a long time ago when my kids were much smaller at a gathering place here where we live in Colorado. And it's really an honor to be asked to be part of this. And it is a very intimate time, I think, for us, where I've finally come home from a lot of travel. And we've been to many nations in the last few months. And it's good to just have some time for the next 2 months to just be home and just be and see what the Lord's doing in this time.
Oh, that's so good. I mean, you guys have been traveling and ministering, and now tell us about the ministry that you're a part of and what that looks like.
Yeah, the name of the ministry is Global Sons. We run it's online. We have people from every continent all over the earth. We have something called Ascension Groups, where a group of people get together every single week that are gathering together, the same people, the same time every single week, and are going to see what the Lord is going to show them together as one, as a corporate one. We have that time with us personally, but there's something different about a corporate ascension. Many times in Scripture, it talks about the door of the tabernacle or the door of the congregation or the door of the temple. And that's where we come together in unity and oneness to be able to see what the Father's doing, to hear what the Father's saying, and come and activate those things here in the earth. Wow. And we do live teachings every single month. We have lots of conferences and lots of gatherings, so lots of special things for people who do partner with us. We currently have about 1,900 partners all over the world that partner with us and walk with us. And we have leaders all over the world. Just big props to and love to all of our leaders who take the time out every single week. And we have groups that meet 7 days a week, all hours of the day, because we have people in South Africa and people in Germany, people in the US, people in Korea, people in New Zealand and Australia. And they're all just coming together as one. And I think that's it.
So
we're really uniting the gathering of the sons all over the earth.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Such an answer to Yeshua, to Jesus's prayer, right? That we would be one as he is.
It's his heart. It's what he came to do. He never came to create division and separation. And through historical things that have caused the separation, the many, many denominations, we were never supposed to be apart from one another. And we're not apart from him. And he is our pattern. So that means that we should walk in unity and wholeness together, even if our paths are different, even if our ideas are different. I walk with amazing people, but I'm called to something different than they are. And it doesn't make what they're called to wrong or right. It just means it's their path and it's their journey. And I think, walking in love and honor and unity doesn't mean you give up the unique design that Yahweh created you to be. I think it's important. And it's a gift, it's such a gift to be able to come alongside so many people that carry so many different things. We have a lady that's on our network every single Wednesday morning. We have meditation, and people from all over the world every single morning on Wednesday come together in unity and oneness just to seek that divine download from the Father.
Wow, and that is so beautiful. And you were talking about this concept of oneness, operating in love and honor, and honoring people's journey in that, and that it doesn't look like. So we were starting to talk about this, like, ooh, I think we hit the mother lode of what we want to talk about today. So I'm just going to let you flow, really, what's on your heart. This is so beautiful, and just so I can just feel it. It's just on God's heart for the body today, and where we're coming as a body and coming together as one, even though we look different, the paths are different. We're in, different places in our journey. So feel free to take it away, because it's so good.
I think what the Lord has really been putting on me, I had a very deep encounter a few years ago with the being of honor. We do honor as an action, but we do it very flippantly, especially here in the United States sometimes. We don't hold honor the same way as some other cultures do around the world. And we were doing an ascension, and the Lord had really laid it on my heart. It's one of my major messages is honor the family table, and then there's things that go along with that. And the Lord, we were doing an ascension with a group of very high-profiled people that are in the earth. They're in high places in government. They've all served in the military. They know what honor is. They are fighting for the people. They're standing for the people. And we have a governmental strategy group that we were just coming together to see what the Lord was going to show us. And one of the people that was in the group had seen Yeshua, and there was and for those of you that don't know, I use the word Yeshua just because that's what his mommy called him. Jesus came much later down the road, but his mother gave him that name. So I'm a mother of 10 children, and lots of people call my daughter Abby. I call her Abigail. That's what I named her, as the Lord told me. So I'm going to use the word Yeshua, the name Yeshua. So he saw Yeshua, and he had this one single tear coming down his face, and it went into this funnel. And all I can say is this, like a tiny little funnel. This one tear from his face came down into this funnel, and it came out and it dropped on the water. And when it dropped on the water, it made these triple concentric circles in the water. Like if you drop a stone in the water and you see the ripples, or you skip a stone, or however you want to do it. At that moment, the Lord presented the being of honor to me. And I couldn't talk about it for about 3 months after that, because what he showed me was him in his dishonor. And the only thing that I can equate it to is if I was to be standing at the foot of the cross when Yeshua gave it all, and his head was down, and he was taking on all of humanity so that we could be one with the Father. That's the way it presented to me. But he was like a being of, like, in water. This is what I'm seeing in this vision, this ascension that we were doing. And it crushed me. It absolutely crushed me. And I said, okay, Lord, show me what it is that you're trying to tell me, what I need to know. What do I do to be able to restore his position and back to the position in which you created him to function? And he told me until we restore honor to his position, that we will be denied the access to the heart chambers of Yahweh. And it's not that he doesn't love us, and it's not that we're not walking with him, and it's not that we're not one with him, but that's an intimate place that love and honor must reign. They must stand in authority and position, just as he honors us in our journey, and as we should honor others in theirs. And then he started bringing up these little things, or showing me things, like when we were in a meeting and everybody's all excited and they're all so wonderful. And the second they leave the door of the meeting, They're just like, oh, can you believe the worship? She sang this song and she did this and she did that and she did this. And I just didn't really agree with what he said. Or can you believe that lady that walked in the back and what she was wearing? And all of a sudden I was like, and in the system of the church, it is we traveling the entire world, traveling the entire world and connecting with people from all over the world. The idea or the picture of people who are supposed to be the champions and the light in the world right now, which are the believers, the Christians, we are supposed to be the pattern. And the thing that came to me the most was that we are the most judging people in the world. And it just broke me. And if I don't believe exactly the way you do, then we separate and we walk away from one another. It was never designed to be that way. I mean, look at the disciples. The disciples disagreed on everything.
Right.
They had their own ideas, their own understanding. They were going to walk the way they walked. They were going to speak the way they speak. They weren't wrong. It was just the way that the Lord uniquely designed them to carry the message for the people they were going to be sent to.
Wow.
And we have an idea of, we have this denomination and that denomination and this denomination. And if they don't believe exactly the way we do, then we separate from them.
Right.
But he never separated from us, even in our own sin, even in our own destruction, even in our darkest hour, he was there.
Yeah.
And so we've got to come back into it. And the way that we can do that is to restore honor to the position that God has created him to be, and to walk hand in hand with him. And that means that you honor the person that carries the message you may not understand. But that doesn't mean that they're wrong. It just means it's not your part. It doesn't mean that we walk with people we walk with somebody that we completely disagree with on what's coming and what's doing, but we love each other so deeply that we honor the fact that this person is got to carry this part, because we're coming into a time where they're going to need this piece. But that doesn't mean that piece is my piece.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it's your piece.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that people have gotten to the place where they're allowing others to hear what they need to hear from the Lord for themselves, which is their piece.
Yeah.
And we have to respect that, and we have to honor that. The Lord told me to, there was some contention with some people that we walked with, and they don't agree with some of the things. And we were in covenant relationship, traveled for years together. We broke bread together. And if you live a biblical life, once you do that, you don't break covenant. Even if you disagree. I have 10 children. My children disagree on a lot of things.
Right.
They disagree on their ideas. They disagree on the way their path is with the Lord. They disagree on, but they all can sit down at the table and honor each other and love each other in the way that Yeshua came to love us, because he was the pattern.
Yeah.
And I think we've come away from that, and we need to return to that. I think that we need to prepare a place at a table. He says, prepare a place and be able to love those that have maybe dishonored you. We dishonor ourselves all the time. He created us. He created us to be perfect. Yeah. Not everybody looks perfect or acts perfect, but it's the way he created them. And we have to come to a place where we stand in honor with that, because with our own self. I went to a meeting one time and we were teaching, the meeting was called Becoming. And it was really about remembering who we were created to be, because a lot of us have forgot. When we came here, we forgot.
Yes.
And we're just stepping into the maturity and go, oh, there you are. So what I did is I took the entire group of people. We talked about becoming, we talked about honoring ourselves, for who he created us to be. A lot of people would say, oh, I can't be in ministry. I'm not tall enough. I'm too fat. I'm too short. I don't speak good enough. I don't do this. I don't do that. And you're dishonoring who the Lord created you to be, because no matter where you are, whether you're speaking to nations or you're speaking to your neighbor, you're just as important as the person that you look at that has the biggest platform and the biggest, all of those things, because he created you. It may be that it's only your neighbor, but without you, your neighbor wouldn't be able to walk in wholeness and truth.
Right.
And so we honor that. And I think that, with these people that we were walking with for so long, the Lord said, will you be an olive branch? And I was like, oh, absolutely. So I will text, and I was like, hey, do you remember when? Or I'll send a picture when we're together. And James Nisbet has this amazing picture that he created, and it's called the banquet table. And it's a table that just never ends. And it's got napkins placed, and it's got all the different tribes and everything, because we all come from some tribe. We all come from, you may come from the Methodist tribe, or you may come from the Baptist tribe, or the charismatic, or the Pentecostal, but there's a place at the table. And he's got this really beautiful picture, and the Lord said, make sure when it's time that their place is ready, the best silver has been laid, the plate has been put down. You've taken care and love, and in the way that you've folded the napkin, to know that they're welcome at the table. And so I've really made it my passion to do that. And I have taken many people into that place to see honor in his dishonor, and then work on the restoration, because it starts with us. The Lord said to love your neighbor as yourself. A lot of us don't even honor ourselves enough to love ourselves. Yeah. And I think we're coming to the awakening moment, and we're coming to the place now where we have to take these actions of really start working. So stand in the mirror and say, Lord, show me what you see. Show me in my finished work. Show me in my completion. I'm a mom of 10 kids, and I have a lot of wonderful extra things around the middle from all those 10 kids. And before when I was engaging with this in the becoming and honoring myself, I would, we make excuses. Oh, I'm starting this diet, or I'm going to work out here. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And my precious little son, he was 8 years old at the time. No, he may have been 9, between 8 and 9 years old. And he came up to me one day and he says, Mommy, why is your tummy so big? And I would have normally made an excuse. I would have said, well, mommy's working on it, or I need to go to the gym more, or I need to do this, and the Lord said, stop it. So instead of making the excuse, I grabbed his little face and I looked him right in the eyes, and I said, because it carried greatness. In a second, it not only changed me, but it changed his destiny, because I wasn't saying, well, I've carried all these babies, and this is why I looked at this is da da da, and making all these excuses. It changed me for who he called me to be. It changed his destiny, because I just told him that it wasn't, well, the excuse of I've had 10 babies. It shifted his destiny to tell him he was great, and that it was a greatness. And, that in the moment, changed so much for me. And, it's a path and a journey for all of us. I'm still working on it. There are times when I'm tired. There's times when I'm, I just, somebody frustrates you, whatever, you have to bring it right back. I heard this beautiful lady one time. I was at a church in Dallas, Texas, Carrollton, Texas, big, huge church, and that I was on staff at. And we had this beautiful little Pentecostal lady that came in, and she was the most amazing person. And she said one time, when somebody says something to you, do you hold it, or do you release it? And I think we have to get to the place where we release it, because what's happened is we're not honoring our self because of things others have said. And she goes, are you building a garden of rocks or of flowers? Which one?
Wow.
So she goes, somebody said something to me that I didn't do it the right thing. I didn't say it the right way or whatever. And immediately I just blessed them. But we have to start blessing ourselves the same way. So instead of holding on to that and allowing it to create a rock garden inside of us, release it immediately and say, oh, thank you. I bless you. Have a beautiful day. Instead of starting to take it and creates your identity and you're being the identity of the world rather than the identity of Yeshua, who we are the pattern and we're called to be the lights in the midst of the darkness. But if we allow those things to cover over us, his light won't shine the way that it needs to. And I think that, that's really where the Lord has been really leading me and directing me. He's taking me down this path of really engaging deeply with honor. Even my license plate on my car, it says we are one. And I want people to know that you are not apart from me, whether you agree with me or not. We are never separated or apart from him, even in our darkest hour. And because he's called us to be the pattern for this time. And I think right now is a crucial time. If you look everything that's going on in the world right now, we at this time have to honor and stand in a way we've never stood before, because people that are hurting, people that are desperate are going to look, and they need to see the light that shines. And we can only do that if we walk in honor and love and humility. And they will come. They will come. He promises that every knee will bow and every tongue confess. They will come. And they're looking for a people right now like never before in the earth that can stand in that space and say, I honor you. I honor your journey. Let me introduce you to the one who's done it all. And I think really that's where we are right now. The Lord's brought a very diverse group of people together willing to walk it out, where we may not understand 100% of what each person's carrying, but we know it's important and we know who they are. When we take our glasses of first mention, and when I say glasses of first mention, I mean filtered through a system that gives a lot of rules and regulations about, Yeshua ate with some people that the system is what condemned him for. He brought people into the table. He looked at them in their fullness, not in the mess they were in at the moment. And we all have messes. None of us are perfect right now yet. We're working that way, but we're not perfect yet. And we have bad days. We may say something that comes across hard and cruel, but he's given us the ability to redirect that and turn that around. So it's an opportunity. It's really an opportunity to embrace honor in a deep way and love him. And it talks about it in scripture. In the word, it says, if we cannot honor the Son, we cannot honor the Father who sent him. And there are sons all over this earth right now that don't recognize yet, but they were sent here by him for a purpose. So we have to honor that peace that's connected, that hasn't yet been awakened, to be able to recognize they are part of us, just like we are part of him. And we have to stop the separation. So, it's just a beautiful, beautiful path and a beautiful journey that the Lord's giving us right now as an opportunity to walk it out and be the pattern, just like he was. And, rejoice in the fact that he's given us this opportunity. But, my best recommendation, truthfully, right now is to start with yourself. Start honoring yourself in a way that you never have before. Start taking the moments to love on yourself. Then your family, then your neighbors, then the lady down the street, or the person sitting by themselves in the coffee shop. It's really just looking at people and showing the love as a truth, not just an action, because that's who he is. He is love. And when we express that and release that the way that he did, we don't have to do all of the other stuff. He takes care of it. I had the most beautiful compliment one time. Several years back, I had this beautiful lady. She was a single mom, very, very rough. I would call her, kind of the biker chick. She had a mouth that was very interesting, said lots of interesting things. We come from a house where, my kids, the word stupid's not a good word,
Right.
and
Right.
these were beyond words.
Right. Right.
So I, but our boys were on the same baseball team. And so I would strike up, I would talk to her at every game. Then we started riding to games together. And she'd had a rough life. And she had no support. Since her children were like 3 and 4 years old, she had no support from their dad, no support. She had a lot of anger and a lot of hurt. But the Lord just said, be the light. So that's what my husband and I did. We started riding to baseball games together. We started doing things together. When we had holidays, we would invite them to our house. Our sons became very good friends on this baseball. They played baseball all the way through high school together. They've been in each other's weddings, all that kind of stuff to now. And she said, sorry, she got sick. She got sick, and she was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer, and her children were in high school. And my husband looked at me and goes, honey, we have to take care of this. And I said, okay, we will do this. I said, but once we step in, we cannot step out. If the Lord is telling us this is what we need to do, we're all in. There is no wavering on this subject. And he goes, no, we have to do this. So we became full-time caregivers for her kids. There were times I was in the hospital with her 30 days at a time. And in this, she starts asking, can you pray? Can you do this? Can you do that? And she was at a good spot, and she was at a church I wasn't even at. She called me. She goes, guess what? I gave my life to the Lord. And she was so excited, and she gave her life to the Lord. I was not even there. And I sat down. I said, so tell me about your journey. And I said, I want to know what made it where you were when you said, I surrender. Lord, here I am. And she goes, because you loved me where I was. And I go, what do you mean by that? And she said, you didn't come at me with a list of all the requirements I had to do to walk with you. You loved me where I was, and you showed me by example how to love your family, how to love your children. I watched you interact with your husband and your children, and I sat back and I go, I want that. And so she surrendered to the Lord. She goes, other people would come at me and they would tell me what I needed to do to fix me. They would come at me waving in the Bible. And she goes, but you're the first person who loved me where I was, no matter what. And that was the shift that she needed in her life. Now she's gone on to be with the Lord now. We took care of her kids. They ended up going to live with her sister. They were a senior and junior in high school at the time. And as the chaplain came and sat next to her bed and said, with her hospice company, and said, is there anything you'd like to pray? And one of her friends at the end of her bed, now that was walking the lifestyle that she had been walking prior to her coming to the Lord. And she said, I bet you wish none of this had ever happened. Why don't you just make all of this go away? And she looked at her friend and she goes, oh no. She goes, I wouldn't change a thing. She goes, for the first time in my life, I know who I am in him and he knows who I am in him. I wouldn't change a thing.
Wow.
And and it was all because I could honor her for her and just love her where she was. And it loved her back to wholeness. And I didn't put a stipulation on her for her friendship. I didn't put a well, you can come to my house if you don't do X, Y, and Z. She started changing on her own. Those words would fly out of her mouth and she'd go, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't say a word. I didn't convict her of that. But she was all of a sudden allowed to be in a safe space where she was honored and loved for who she was. And then all of a sudden, the unlocking took place. And that everything that had been locked up and the wall that had been built up before her was all of a sudden unlock, unlock, unlock until she was open and fully able to receive the deep and powerful love that Yeshua came to do for her. The gift he gave her, her recognition that she was never apart from him and that she was one with him because of what he did at the cross.
Wow.
So,
wow, that's beautiful. That is so beautiful. What an example of honor and just loving right where she's
I really
at.
think it's where we're headed. We have to. We have to. There are all kinds of people in all kinds of cultures now that the Lord's bringing in our path, bringing in our direction, people that don't know because they've forgotten, because they've been so rejected by a system, not the church, a system that says they are not enough. They are not worthy. They are not this. That's why Christians all over the world have this thing that, oh my God, as soon as you say you're a Christian, they kind of set back because they're scared that they're going to be judged for something or another. So I've really kind of even changed my framework. I mean, obviously I'm a Christian. I grew up that way. I've loved the Lord most of my life. I was baptized in the Holy Spirit when I was in 7th grade. I had some journeying as a teenager where I had to, it's a good thing people loved me for where I was, so that I didn't get permanently lost because I was having to find my own path, but always knew he loved me. So when I go to other places around the world, my answer now is, well, what are you? And I said, I'm a believer in Messiah Yeshua. I am a believer in what he did for me. I am a believer that he gave up all things so that we could be one with the Father. Because without that price that he paid, we could not be in one. He honored us enough to give it all up. And I think that's where we are. We're called as a people to do the same in this, especially in the stuff we're going through as a world, not as a nation, because there's plenty in this nation, but it's that world. It's that humanity as a whole right now. And he's asking us, are you willing to honor them enough? And I said, yes, Lord, whatever it takes. I will do what you asked me to do. I will go where you asked me to go. And I will love those that nobody else was willing to love. And I think that's my heart. That's part of setting the plates down, letting them know they're welcome at the table. They can bring all their stuff right now. We'll talk it through. We'll work it out to where until they recognize their worth and their value, because somebody was willing to honor them. And it's not just for people that are a mess. It's really for people too that have it all together. We've been separated too long. And what he did for us at the cross was not to divide us and separate us by a set of rules that man has made, not that are in the scripture, but man has made. And I think we just have to go back to the instruction book that he gave us and really dive. There's sweetness in the words. There's everything that we need written as an instruction manual from a loving father. And we've got to get back to the basics and stop putting rules and regulations on how we love, who we fellowship with, and who's worthy or not, because we all are. It's what he did.
So good. So good. So profoundly true. And he said, a new commandment I give you, that you love one another as I have loved. And intrinsically in that is honor.
Right.
I'm always amazed at how much God honors us.
Yes.
Even honestly, even when, as you said, we've dishonored him, right?
Yeah.
He's the honor that he gives us, and that we're required to give one another. And sometimes we really blow it. I mean, it's just a thing. But what has God shown you? Because you travel a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you said something that, many cultures do better with the honor piece than, say, maybe Western Christianity or United States or whatever. What have you learned that we can sort of glean from people maybe who are doing it better than we are?
Well, I think that, every culture has a form of dishonor. They all do. It's part of where we've stepped in humanity. It's part of the filter we've been taught. And I think what we do is we have to come out of the filter of what the world says and filter everything through Yeshua, through the gate. What would it's back to the whole, what would he do?
Yep.
We went through this age in the 90s and stuff, and everything was, what would he do?
Right.
But we've come back away from that again. All of a sudden it was a thought in our mind. I think we have to get back to filtering everything through the instruction book, through the what would he do? Would he sit down and have a coffee? Would he, we can talk about our disagreements, but it doesn't mean he breaks relationship with us.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And that's what we've done. I think we've done that in such a crazy way. I mean, whether it's political parties or whether it's, one denomination to another, we haven't stepped in a place of truly honoring somebody for their path. And it's like, we agree to we've gotten on stage before and we're in the meeting with somebody we disagree with on some things that are coming.
Right.
And we can say, we agree to disagree, but we love each other deeply. I've, like I said, at my kitchen table with 10 kids, they're going to disagree on lots of things, but it doesn't matter. That doesn't break relationship.
Yeah.
And the Lord is all about relationship. He's not about the religion piece. He is about the relationship. He is about us walking together, no matter what our differences are or what our belief systems are. I'm not where I was 20 years ago, but I honor in a way that is deep and loving for those that place the pathway for me to get where I am today. We don't agree on the same things today.
Right. Sure.
And they're very content where they are. I was just not content to just camp. I wanted to continue to move. I didn't want to stay in the same place and do the same things for 30 years at a time, but it's okay for them. They're happy. They're comfortable. They're doing great things. There has to be somebody that will be willing to sit in that space to have the open doors, to bring the people in. So I think we just really have to, as believers, have to honor each other's peace. Honor every single denomination has great parts. And they have some that keeps them from fellowshipping with other people. So we really have to come back to what he created. And he didn't create a denominational system. He created the Ehad, which is a Hebrew word for unity and oneness in him. No
So good.
separation. No, when we mess up and we mess up big time, he's not going to turn his back on us. We were taught in the church that the Lord turned his back on him when he was on the cross. That was not the case. It
No.
was just a filter that he couldn't look upon it, but he was right there. He never left him, and he will never leave us. And I really think that that's where we have to get. And because he was our pattern, because we were called to be as he is, he told us in the scripture over and over again, you will do what I've done and greater things will you do, which means we're having the opportunity now to be the greater, to do the best for each other, to love each other in a way. When the Lord took me into this vision, ascension, however you want to look at it, whatever terminology you want to use, he had this gate, and in the gate, love was on one side because love is more than an action, and honor was on the other. And it opened it up and said, okay, now come in.
Wow.
Because we're working on honoring ourselves so that we can honor others. We're working on that relationship piece. He's just waiting for us. He's never, and we should be doing the same thing. That person that you haven't had contact in 15 years, all of a sudden calls and says, hey, could we have coffee? Well, you don't turn to your husband and go, that lady, and she said this and this and this and this and this. There's a reason she's calling.
Yeah.
There's a reason that there's an opportunity. I look at everything. I'm the girl half full. I look at everything as the cup half full, not half empty.
Right.
I look at the positive side of everything. And when you're going through tough stuff and you're going through big decisions, I always look at the outcome on the positive, not the negative for me.
Right.
And when I go through tough things and I have to make tough decisions, that we have to do all of ours, like, okay, Lord, thank you for the opportunity to overcome. I think we're overcoming a lot of our personality discrepancies with one another, or the judgments that we've placed because people don't see things exactly the way we do. I think we are coming to a place where we can, I love the Jewish Hebrew culture. They can come together during a week and come together and they can argue about everything under the sun. When they get up from the table, they kiss each other and they say, see you next week.
That is so
And I
great.
think that's where we need to go. See you next week. Yeah. I don't understand your part. And it's not my place. I had this, there's somebody I love very much, but they talk extremely, sometimes over my head. And I have to sit with it for a really long time. And the Lord told me, I go, Lord, I don't get this. This does not make any sense to me. I don't understand what they're saying. He goes, you don't have to. If you don't understand what they're saying, put it in a folder, file it away in the system. And if and when I want you to pull it out, I'll say, remember that day.
That's so good.
It doesn't mean what they weren't saying was 100% accurate. It just wasn't my piece. And there have been times where this person talked and 7 years down the road, all of a sudden something unlocked for me. I was like, oh my gosh, go to the file system, figure it out, pull it out and go, this is what he was saying. So the thing is we don't have to agree with everything everybody says, but we do have to honor who the Lord created them to be. It is a requirement from the Father. We don't have to jump full force into everything. I may say something you disagree with, but we can still have coffee and we can still be friends and we can still, you just don't break relationship because that's not what covenant is about. And he's really called us in this time, in this season, to have covenant relationship in a way that we've never had it before. And that means no matter what somebody's belief system or what they say, if it, is like a thorn in your side, say, okay, I don't understand that. I might not agree with that, but I love you because I know who you are in him. And that's all we have to think about is I know who you are in him. You are worthy enough for him to take his last breath and give it all. And that should be enough for us. So I think that's where we are. It's about relationship.
It's so about relationship. As reminding me when my youngest son, Robert, has autism, and he went through a really hard phase. And his behavior was outrageous. I mean, he'd tear up his room. He just had all these emotions that was overwhelming him. And then all this just negative, and it was so bad because his he would put himself in the garbage can because he felt he was garbage. It was just really heartbreaking. And then he would break something on purpose that, he was trying to dare us to, lose our cool, to disown him, whatever. And I would go to him. Well, I would require him to get out of the garbage. It's like, this is not happening. But I would say, Robert, love is not up for grabs.
That's right.
Even if you are outrageous and trying to do everything to destroy things, love is not up for grabs.
Right.
And, and I think we make it so predicated on things. And, and I love those, the honor and the love. It's beautiful. I'm just going to have to meditate and talk to Yeshua about that. But with the honor piece as this separate, almost pillar that the gates open with, that's just, wow. That is huge. And it is so him. It is so him. I mean, how can we be one as he and the Father are one with all our, we know the things, but love is not up for grabs. Honor is not up for grabs.
Right.
And then teaching us how to flow in that as a default.
Well, and we had the very similar situation that you did with your son. And our son was in a really tough, we had some accusations that came against our family, and it was a really tough spot. So my husband and I, one day we sat down and we colored in those bubble letters, how we did when we were teenagers or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Each one of the children's names.
Yeah.
And then we wrote the meaning of their names and we put them on the refrigerator. So every single morning, and this is not just for children, this is for adults. We have to remind ourselves of who we are before we step out of our day for our day. And one day he had just had a really rough day, and he did exactly what your son did. And he took his picture off the refrigerator and he crumpled it up and he threw it in the trash. And he goes, I just can't. And I said, no. So go get your picture. And we flattened it out, and it was all wrinkled and it had a tear and all is it. I said, now, son, who are you? And he told me who he was according to his name or what the Father had said. And every day I would have them walk out of the house with that. And it changed everything. He is the most loving, most wonderful, just like your son. But there are times that we feel that way, that we feel we aren't worthy. So before you go out for your day, before you get out of your bed, when you're having your time with the Lord, don't pick up your phone instantly in the morning. Take those first few minutes to affirm yourself of who you are in him, to say who he sees in you. I'm an overcomer. I'm righteous. Our children were, we wrote their meanings of their names down. So he who is like God and one who laughs, that's the meaning of his name, Shane Isaac. And so that's exactly what he did before he got up in the morning, before he walked out the door to a world that can be rough. When you're in your safe place, when you're in your quiet place, speak the words out loud of who the Father says you are.
So good.
Realize you're worthy. Realize that he created you for such a time as this. Realize the importance of putting those shoes on that he created you to carry, for you to walk in and step out. And it changes everything when we start our day that way. We're not filling our head full of the garbage. You can instantly get up and all of a sudden start, scrolling on the phone. Most people do it. It's become a habit for most people. Instead of just spend that first few minutes with the Lord. Okay, Lord, what is for today? How can I honor well today? Let me start by honoring who you created me to be. And I really feel like it will unlock the depths in a way that you've never been experienced, where living water is going to flow. And it's not saying you're ever going to be without a problem. but it's giving you the tools to be able to overcome tough things because number one, you're honoring yourself first and you're loving yourself in the way that he would and speaking life into you and your day before you ever walk out the door, before you ever have your first phone call, before you ever look at all the junk going on in the world today, is to take that just minute of the, and then it becomes 3 minutes and then it becomes 5 minutes. Somebody told me one time that they started meditating and they did an hour for the first time on their first day. I was like, there's no way. You did not have a break. It's like a marathon. We have to practice. Right. You're not going to go out and run 26 miles or 24 miles your first time out. You're going to walk half a mile, then you're going to walk a mile, then you're going to, and do the same thing with yourself in the morning. It's so important that we change the direction we're going by just a few words in the morning of starting out with honor. I never step up and speak. I never do anything without first honoring where we've been, where we're going, the people that we're there for, the people that we're hosting. The gratefulness and honor that comes out of our heart defines our day. So instead of waking up and going, oh, this hurts, or oh, that hurts, or oh my God, I've got to go deal with that boss all over again. You've already set the tone for your day when you do that. But you wake up and go, Lord, thank you. There's a reason it says, this is the day the Lord has made. Rejoice and be glad in it. Find something to rejoice in. Find something to be glad in. Find something to give honor for. Lord, thank you. I made a statement at the conference that we were at this weekend. I had somebody in my car, and I honestly, I forgot. We live in the most beautiful place. We live at the mountains, and I get out and I talk to the mountain every day. And somebody was in my car, and it's a beautiful friend of mine. And she's kind of just looking at me. I'm like, good morning, mountain. How are you this morning? I'm so grateful that I get to see you. I'm so grateful for the beauty. I'm all of this stuff. And I looked at her. I was like, oh, I kind of say hi to the mountain every day. And she looked at me and she goes, of course you do. And I looked at her and she goes, because one day you'll ask that mountain to move. And it will, because you built a relationship with it. Wow. Do that with ourselves. Wow. Build a relationship with yourself, a love for yourself. Find something. And it may not start right at the beginning. You may have to find one thing. Oh, Lord, I love my earlobe. Thank you for my earlobe. But all of a sudden, it's starting to speak life into your life in a way that you've never done. Speak life into your spouse's life, your friend's life, your children's life. And it will shift everything. And it's not hard work. It's just starting your day with the right foot out of the bed. They say you got up on the wrong side of the bed, make it the right side of the bed. Yeah. Start out with, before you put your feet on the floor, just being grateful for something, giving honor for something in your life. Lord, thank you. I have a warm shower to go get in. Thank you. You've provided that for me. Thank you that when I go down to the refrigerator, all of a sudden I open it up and there's, a banana and some peanut butter. It may not be full, but it's okay. There's a banana. Find something to be grateful for. And as you're grateful for those things and you start honoring things that you do have in your life, the Lord will give you more and give you more and give you more. And all of a sudden, the things that were really, really tough don't seem so tough anymore. And it just starts out with a few little words. I honor you, Lord. I honor you that the sun came up. Lord, I honor you that we have a rain shower. Thank you for the beauty of the flowers. Thank you that I woke up this morning and I can take a deep breath and just say, there you are. Because he's as close as our breath. He breathes with us. He opens his eyes with us. He's in you always, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're overcoming. And he just wants those few minutes for you to focus on something that's beautiful that he created, which is you. And if you start there, the rest of it just falls into place.
Oh, wow. That's so powerful and such wisdom such needed wisdom and such a good reminder. Sometimes I think we get too, I don't know, sophisticated for our own good. And the simplicity of that and the life that flows from that is so
So I
incredible.
said, it doesn't have to be tough. It could be 2 words. If all you have is 2 words, get up every morning with those 2 words. And then all of a sudden you'll have 4, then you'll have 5, then you'll have a whole conversation. Just find that first thing every morning to give thanks and to honor, to be grateful for. And all of a sudden things start just opening up in a way that you've never been able to see before.
It's beautiful. That's beautiful. Wow. I can't believe this hour has flown by.
It
That's
has.
amazing. I know, right? Wow. Where can people find you? How can they connect with Global Sons?
Easy to find us. Global, it's sons.global, but it's SONS
Mhm,
global. And
mhm,
there's also YouTube channels.
mhm,
My mom and I work with the ministry together. Her name is Nancy
mhm,
Cohen. My husband and I run Global Sons and
mhm.
are kind of at the moment the heartbeat of what goes on. We have lots of things that come up. There's all kinds of Instagram channels and there's Facebook, and you start just looking for those spaces. We are growing all the time. We do have meetings all over the world. So if you're, whether you're watching here in Colorado, we just had one last week and we're going to have some more
Mhm,
coming up, but
mhm.
all over the United States and in every continent. And, I know people, they're so hungry, and I'm sure you've got people from other continents on as well. And we just, thank you for being with us. But the easiest way to connect is the sons.global. We've got email information, contact information, phone numbers, and just we're all one in this journey together. And
Sure.
I would have put Ehad on my license plate, but a lot of people don't know what that is. And because
You
it is a
can't
Hebrew.
explain it. There's not enough
Yes,
space.
well, there's enough space. There was enough letters for it, but I really wanted people to recognize that understanding that may not be walking yet I never call anybody an unbeliever. They're all pre-believers.
Yes.
And I never call anybody an unbeliever because I don't want to trap into a box they were not designed to be in. And so pre-believers, but they do understand that we are one. And just as he was one with us, we are one with them. And I think, if you want to get connected with us, we have lots of teachings, lots of meditation. Like when you partner with us, you have access to about 140 teachings instantly. And
Wow.
then you also have weekly meditations that are about over 100 of them that you can watch recordings of, and new ones every single week. So we do those live every single week. And we have connecting points all over the world. And we just love you. And thank you so much for having me
Mm.
here. And we need to go get some coffee. And,
We do.
yes, we need to go
We
get some
do.
coffee and be together. And the weather's beautiful.
Oh, that
And I'm going to be home for a while. So that's good.
That's
I know
amazing. So
it's
I
a
will be
miracle because
finding
we just
you.
came back from Israel and we took 30 people to Israel, and I jumped straight into preparing for a conference. And I was home for like a week in the last 2 months, and my kids go with me most of the time. We take them to Israel with us when we can.
It's
And
amazing.
I'm going to be gone to New Zealand and Australia in all of the month of August. So I'm glad to be home for the next couple of months. We got big family plans, hanging out with kids and family and grandbabies, and because I have 7 grandkids so far, and so I'm quite busy sometimes, but I always have time for coffee, so we'll make a
I
plan. We'll
love
make a
it. Well,
date.
I will find you.
Yes, we'll make a date and we'll go have some coffee and get together. And
Mm,
just thank you for having
awesome.
me on. And it was such an honor for you to ask. And
Mm,
I look forward to more times, and maybe we can go into some different stuff another time, because the Lord's
I
really
love
opening
that.
up the sweetness of his word and the honey
Mm,
in the scriptures. And maybe we can share another time and do that together.
that's wonderful. Yes, we can make that happen. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, share this, do all the things, go find Global Sons and everything they're doing, amazing things. And Shannon, my cup runs over. Thank you so much. It's been such a beautiful time. Thank you so much for being
Oh,
on.
it's my honor. It's my honor and it's the biggest blessing. I love having conversation, and I love sitting around the table. The family table is a really important place to me, and I'm glad we're sitting at the same table and we can love on one another and experience life and rejoice at what the Lord's giving us opportunity to do in this time and this season. So thank you so much for having me. It's a true honor.
Yeah, wonderful. All right. Well, I will have to close it, but thanks again, Shannon. Everybody share this. Someone needs this. Many people need this. We need this message, and what will be the fruit of that? And we'll reach out and have you back on, Shannon, and I'll come find you for coffee.
Yes, I'll see you soon. Blessings,
All
everyone.
Right. All right. Love you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Perspectives with Catherine Toon. For additional information and resources, please visit catherinetoon.com.